My info products have made over $5.5, almost $6 million. Like I've already done that. Our agency revenue's been over 20 million. And AI is way bigger. This market is 100x bigger.
You're spending over 100K per month on AI.
And hopefully soon I'll be spending $500,000.
This 9-figure target you have, what is that you're doing right now that you know that will compound to those figures?
Aggressively compounding community, viewership, and all I need to do is generate $10 million a year to be worth 100 mil. That's less than $1 million a month. I will be making that within 2 months. If you put Miles through a Doctor Who time machine back to 2024, I would have made $100 million. Easy.
Why? How?
I was thinking I was productive, but there were just some very small things that I could have tweaked to make way more money. Like, for example, we were able to take like our sales CRM, I think it was like 0.5 calls a day to 4 calls a day, because we already knew the basics of sales. And now we're just force multiplying with AI. We can do even more of that thing. So the whole concept of like building human skills and expertise has not gone away. I think we're moving away from a world where it's like, it's not you versus agent, it's like you and agents. If you're gonna ask an AI a strategy question about your business, you better make sure that AI knows every single thing about your business. So I think people need to move away from like prompt engineering and AI engineering into like data and management and engineering.
Memory
engineering, yeah. When I started, I didn't know what I wanted to sell in crypto. I was just tweeting about crypto because I was passionate about it. So you can definitely, I'm proof, you can take the route of I'm passionate, money will somehow come later.
If someone wanted to grow their influence on X, like you've done, like beautifully, what would be the strategy?
Giving someone a reason to follow and hitting a viral piece of content is not the same thing. You need to give people a This is where so many people go wrong. They'll spend all this time, energy, and resource building product, but not on distribution. So my whole philosophy with AI Edge has been like, let's just master distribution because we'll see what the audience wants.
If someone built only one system this week for the most compounding leverage, what would be that system?
It's a very good question. I think
you missed the opportunity to invest in Anthropic at 67.5 billion, I believe, right? And because you didn't pay attention to messages.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are here right now and you got my message and we are doing this podcast, either like your judgment got way better,
yeah,
or this podcast is really valuable. So
well, I hope this podcast makes me more than the opportunity cost on that round, maybe. But
we'll make
might
it
be hard.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Okay, so for everyone's watching right now, why should someone take you seriously when it comes to business and content creation?
I think I would say the main thing about my content is I'm just like genuinely trying a lot of stuff. So with AI, like I'm building trading bots, I'm running lots of experiments. I think my content's like very authentic. Like everything we show on the channel I built, we did a video yesterday where we showed 5 workflows. Like these are the actual workflows I'm using in my business. So my approach to content is I will create something for myself, like a personal dashboard that I genuinely use or a trading bot that I'm experimenting with, and then we'll just make content about it. Yeah. So I think that really comes across in the videos we make. In terms of like taking me seriously as a business person, I don't even need or want people to take me seriously because I think that will just get proven over time. Like as I continue to grow the business, we'll continue to generate results. Like I don't need that external validation yet because I'll know when I've hit like my goals and
You said that it's going to get proven over time. So what do you think you are doing now that it's going to get that like automatic credibility for you in the long term? What are your principles?
Yeah, I mean, right now, like one of my big focuses is media and distribution. So like probably my number one focus now is learning how to use AI to build products, build distribution funnels, and then market those products. And also, work with other clients through my consulting arm, which we can talk about later to do that. I do have goals in the future for certain partnerships or potentially raising capital. And I think you get a lot of validation once those headlines hit. Like, if you do a raise with like A16Z or, a big fund, I think that's when, Alex Becker had Hyros. And when that was, announced that he sold Hyros for 100 mil, everyone was like, oh shit, this guy that was like making crypto videos is like now like really serious. So like, pretty much every single day for me is just about how great can we make the content, how great can we make the products, and then as a byproduct of that down the track, I'm sure we'll end up seeing the headlines and you'll get that validation. But I was even saying to Ned, our videographer behind the cameras right now, that every day for me is so process driven. Like I think it's a real mistake to focus on outcomes and like, oh, if I make this much, now it validates what I'm doing. Like honestly, for me, like my number one thing every day is like, have I had a successful day in terms of like, did I get what I wanted to do done? And like, if every single day I can, like, my head can hit the pillow at night and I'm like, I got everything I wanted to do done, like that compounds over time, and then I'll just get the results. So for me, it's just process driven of just having a good day, a good day, a good day, another good day, another good day. And then like, it'll take care of itself. And that's what also gets you through the tough times in business. Cause like this last 6 months for me, we haven't made as much as, I'm used to. Like, we were doing crazy numbers, like multi-million-dollar months, 2024, 2025 was tricky. And then this year, it's been the real game for me of like just investing back into the business. So, I think a lot of people during a period like this, where you're not making a lot, but you're working harder than ever, would get really disheartened. But I kind of enjoy it because I know that we're just kind of like delaying the gratification for later.
So you have Nebula. Obviously, now you launch AI Edge, which is your AI media company bet. Yeah. We're going to talk way more about that. Obviously, you have your own finance channel that was where you started before. Yeah. So there's an interesting thing here, actually, which is like the ecosystem aspect, right? Because most creators or most entrepreneurs, maybe they have like one stream or maybe two streams or something. But what it feels like is that you have like, you created an ecosystem that works with each other. Like, you have the marketing arm, you have the AI company, you have the finance channel. Of course, you have the paid communities or the paid community. Like, what
more stuff coming?
And more stuff coming.
A lot of stuff coming.
Why? How did this happen? And was it on purpose? And what's the advantage of this versus maybe just one channel, one community, and just like tunnel vision?
There are so many reasons. I mean, let's just break them down. Firstly, brand risk. Like, if you're a single creator, there's so much risk. Something happens to you. Like, I get in an accident, I'm fucked. I can't make money. I can't make money for my family. There's risk, platform de-risk. If one channel gets banned or something, like I had 2 accounts banned 3 days ago. I had my X taken down and Instagram taken down, both not legitimate. It was some AI flag. So we got them both removed within a day. Like, these scary moments happen.
That's crazy.
And luckily we get through them. X has been really supportive. When I've had my account banned, I think 3 times now. So you see on a pretty regular basis that if you're a creator, like, you need a diverse ecosystem firstly. So a little bit of it is that. Probably the main reason though is like, I just enjoy building, and I think the compounding effect of having multiple businesses, if they can relate to each other in the right way, is so much bigger. Because if you just build one channel, you're like just getting views from one place. Whereas if I have 3 channels and you're collab posting with each other, then videos, you can test different niches on different accounts. They go viral, collab them, funnel people back into this channel, and you have 3 chances to hit the algorithm instead of 1 chance. So you just grow a much bigger audience. And then you can start to like niche down each specific channel. And then, yeah, as I said before, for me, it's just like fun. I think I don't find being a creator that fun in terms of just creation. Like, I need to be also like winning in a business sense and pushing and like doing the best in a business sense. And like, I'm not just fulfilled if I'm doing just X or just YouTube. But I would say a lot of what I've been able to achieve and what hopefully I will achieve has really just been a byproduct of continuous action. Like, I basically just stumbled from thing to thing to thing. Like, I didn't start out like, oh, I'm going to have 10 channels, or, I'm, building more channels right now. So I might have 50 by the end of the year if I'm, on the current trajectory. But I didn't start out going, oh, I want to build a 50 channel empire. I did one, it worked. I was like, okay, let's add this. That worked. I'm like, okay, let's add this. Okay, that worked. Then I added this. So you just it just evolves over time based on your interest and based on bandwidth. I think the big risk though, doing this, and I've had criticism in the past from a few people, and even like self-criticism of like, am I taking on too much? There's definitely times where with multiple channels, your bandwidth is so thin that you start to question whether it's the right approach. And, I experience times where I'm just way too busy, and really that's just down to delegating and just getting better at hiring the right people. So that's still something I deal with, because the problem is I basically will add something to the business every time I sort the other stuff. So like I'll max out one channel to 3 days a week. Then I'm like, all right, cool, now we can start a new one. And then I'll max out that. And I'm like, all right, cool, now let's do consulting. And then that'll get clients. I'm like, cool, let's do this. So the risk with that is you have to make sure like one system is working very, very well before you add on another system. And the final point I'll touch on there is I think it's actually what having a big ecosystem of products and channels does is it enables your dollar per conversion to be much higher. Because let's say you have someone that comes into a free community and now they upsell to paid and now they upsell to consulting and then they talk to their friends and they might have a business partner and your business partner knows you because your content does really well and now they're interested in enterprise agency. You see how like it's all interlinked, whereas if I just had one community, there might be like 20% of that community who are interested in this other product that I'm basically wasting and they're already ready to buy. So I think it's just at the end of the day about offering all the things that your community might want, but just making sure you offer them to a high level. But I think there's multiple approaches. Like I also think I could be successful just going all in on info and not doing any agency stuff. And I think I'd also be successful just going all in on agency and not doing any info stuff. But if you can do both at once, I think it's the best approach. But you know, if Hormozy was sitting across from me right now, he'd be like, no. What makes you the most money? And I'd say info. He'd be like, all right, scrap everything else. That's literally if you were Hormozy, that's what he. That's
depends on the goal,
ethos.
right?
Yeah.
Depends on the goal. Yeah, that's so interesting. How do you think? Like, what do you like the most? I'm just trying to understand. Like, do you like more like the content, just for the sake of doing content out and putting content out there, or do you like more like when you're recording content and thinking how good this is for the other things and how it feeds into the ecosystem? Like, where, like, you know, like, are you more into the building and how to nurture that building aspect of the ecosystem, or are you also just creating content because you actually really like creating content? You know what I mean?
I'll be honest, I don't think many creators would say like, I love making videos. Like if you told me like, you're gonna make AI videos, but you won't make any money off it and you won't get any followers, like I wouldn't make videos. So like that shows me just through that it's more than just the video. It's everything. It's the instant like gratification of like, oh, there's views, there's dopamine, like, you know, checking YouTube Studio, seeing the video performing well. Then there's like the feedback loop of like, oh, now we're getting conversions into a newsletter. Then you convert it to a product. It's like, oh, wow, now we're converting into a product. And then, you know, you see that buys you opportunities to do amazing stuff and collab with cool people and do stuff in life that's bigger than just the video that you made. So it's like, it's the whole thing. It's like, I also get to connect with community. I get to build a community and it's really fun to be a part of community. Like it's a human nature thing, right? To be a part of community. And I think I'm a natural leader. So I like leading a community. So I feel it's the sum of everything. You don't sit down and record because I love recording. You sit down and record because you love the community building. You love the results it gets you. You love that's going to lead to even more opportunity. And, you know, sometimes on hard days where it's like, fuck, I really don't want to record. Like last night we were recording. Like it's 9:00, but I had to because the editors only have 2 days before they're on holiday. So we need to get the videos done. You know, I just have to remind myself, even self-check myself in the moment, like, no, this is so much more than just a video. This is a chance to go viral. That is a chance to get 1,000 loyal community members. And that is a chance to obviously make more money, have a bigger community, impact more people. And if you keep reminding yourself that every time you film, it's actually going to be really easy to film. It's just so easy to get like caught up in the moment and be like, fuck, I really don't want to record. So I come back to that and then I'm instantly like happy to record again.
Just so we close this story kind of chapter, like where you come from and all these things, like,
yeah.
You, like, we met in Banter. I mean, that's right. Like we met at Banter, Crypto Banter. Actually, I met you. You were actually the first person that I actually started to work with in Banter before getting sucked into the to the rest, right?
Yeah.
And I would just like to understand, like, why did you join Banter initially? How that fueled the start of your content creation, and then why did you leave?
Okay, a few different questions there. Firstly, I mean, I was just tweeting a lot, and I was just going really viral on X. So I think I joined Banter with like around 50,000 X followers, and obviously I started my channel at the time. YouTube's like the best platform, so that was an amazing leap for me. It started doing impact, reach, just everything. Obviously, shorts you can get more reach, like Instagram, but in terms of community building, conversion, YouTube's king. Like we see across the agency, YouTube's almost 8 to 10x a conversion of Instagram to products. It's king. So I started that. it was going really well. And then I was a massive fan of Banter before I joined. Like I was watching almost every single stream live. So when Fred had reached out and he's like, "Oh, do you want to come on the show?" I was super keen, and I was like nervous. I was stressing out like the whole day.
Fanboy moment.
Because I knew I was on, because I was in Australia at the time, and I knew I was on like really late. I was on at like 7 p.m. Australia. So like drinking coffees all day, like I was super anxious, but in the end, it was like a really fun stream. We talked about DeFi. Then Rand offered me to get on another stream, and then they were like, "Well, why don't you come in as a host?" Because he wanted more hosts. And yeah, then crazy stuff happened. I flew over to Cape Town, which was supposed to be like 2 weeks. I ended up staying for 2 months. I went to Miami. I was living with Hustle for a bit, Johnny, and creating content there. It was really fun in the beginning. I think we went through a really hard period after of bear market, which was tough. Ironically, the bear market then is like not as bearish as it is now because the industry's changed. It's funny because my growth during the bear market was my biggest growth ever on X, because a lot of the good creators just stopped making good content. And I just doubled down during the bear. I was like, I'm going to put out threads like 3 times a week. There's one point where I'd do a video and I'd do a thread every single day. Like I'd be in the office late. I'd write a thread. I was doing everything myself. Then I didn't have any staff. I'd get it straight out. So I was just grinding through the bear. And then I built like a really big community throughout that period. So fast forward to 2024, I think no, it was actually like end of 2023. I didn't really feel free because I mean, you're working in a bigger organization. You don't have full creative control. You don't have full ownership. So there's like concerns over the ownership. You don't have full creative control. And I, just as a person, I'm just really ambitious and I have a lot of self-confidence. And I love leading. And I just felt like going out on my own would give me the ability to build my team, to lead, to go in directions that I wanted. And it just felt right. And I feel like I had the financial security for the first time. Like for a few years at Banter, like I didn't have the security to leave. Like, the sponsors were great. It was, security. And I'm grateful that I was there throughout that time. I learned so much. I learned a lot of Ran in terms of how he leads the business. Like I really look up to him from that perspective. I think he's like a killer. And I learned a lot about work ethic because I thought I was a hard worker, but I realized I wasn't. And even in the last year, I've like had to go to another level of like, oh shit, this is what hard work looks like. So I feel like you always, you keep learning. And I left with a lot of good experiences, but I feel like it was the right call. And yeah, I guess I just, since then, have just continued to build the business. I've gone through some good periods with my business, some bad periods. Like now I feel like we're in a really good place again. Since going more into the AI stuff. I mean, even when I was doing crypto stuff, I had been using AI since 2023. I was actually the first creator on Banter to do a trading bot video. And overall, I think building a business is so much more valuable, not only from a financial perspective, but from a self-development perspective than just trading or just investing. And I would encourage people like, keep trading, keep investing, because that's how you can, generate some cash flow and you'll learn a lot about your own psychology doing that. But try and go out and build a business because you'll learn so much more about yourself. And, I'll never be able to out-trade what I'll make if I build this business properly. Like I will just never, even if I hit every single trade perfectly, I will never be able to make $100 million just trading. Like, I mean, maybe once I have a $50, $60 million bankroll, yes. But it's just not how many traders trade their way to 100 mil. Like, and most of them will blow up getting there. Like who's to say I wouldn't blow up trying to do it? But I know I literally think there's a higher than 50% chance that I do that in the next 2 to 3 years in my business. Like that's genuinely the odds that I would give it. So like for me, it was a no-brainer shifting more time into business building and away from markets. But obviously you still need to make sure, your investment portfolio is good because you need to take some pressure off your business. Otherwise, if you have no money and you're building a business, you're making business decisions out of greed. Because it's like, I've got no money. So now I need to like monetize. I need to launch a product. So I think this has actually been really good for me, even though I've lost money on paper and okay, it sucks to see my net worth going down a little bit. I've actually been able to make better business decisions. Like I haven't monetized AI Engine. We've been doing it for a year. I haven't shilled a product before I feel like it was ready. I haven't shilled consulting before I feel like it was ready. And I get asked for consulting all the time. Like genuinely, I could be making 50 to 100K a month doing it now because so many people ask me for it, but I'm not doing it until I feel like it's at the level. So having that breathing room of like having the portfolio good from what I was able to build in those early years it helps me just focus more on the business and take more business risk without being forced to like make short-sighted financial decisions.
This idea of like Banter, like you were just doing X before Banter, you were doing very well on X already. You joined Banter and suddenly you are in front of cameras, you are watching how a business is built and all of these things. So my question is like, for someone who wants to succeed in content creation business, how important you think it is to go solo versus joining like a crew or an ecosystem? Like when do you think is good to go solo, and when do you think is good to have this collective energy?
You know, it's funny because this doesn't just apply to media. This applies to investing, finance, jobs, just work in general. I think you kind of, unless you're a very unique individual, I actually think most people need to work under someone or under a big company before they go out solo. Like I feel like a lot of people, and like it's a big trend now, right? Like don't work for a boss, you know, do a side hustle, etc. But I think you need the financial security to be able to take risk. So obviously if you don't have a job, it's going to be really hard for you to like take risk on the side. And even if you look at some of the biggest founders, like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, what did he hit, like a $50 billion valuation? He was working at Airbnb and he said he would get home every single night after working all day at Airbnb, and he would work on Coinbase in just the 2 to 3 hours he could squeeze together after work when he was exhausted. And every weekend he gave up his whole of his Saturdays, his whole of his Sundays, because he needed the secure cash flow, and he's probably learning a lot at Airbnb as well before Coinbase was legitimate, and then he launched it. So I feel like there's this misconception that you need to quit your job to go out and start a business. Whereas like I think the right approach for a lot of people is like, just optimize the time around your job or use AI and these new tools we have to become more efficient at your job so you have more time outside your job to unlock. Because I think you'll learn so much working for an organization. It depends on your mindset. It's like, are you in that organization as just a cog, or are you absorbing everything? Like, are you looking at the founder and how they operate? Look at how they delegate. What actually critically reflect on the system that you are a cog in and how it operates, because you need an understanding of all of that. Because if you're going to go and do your own business, you need to understand the SOPs, the database management, the people management. And I don't feel like you can get that without working somewhere. So I actually think it's the opposite to what a lot of these gurus say.
It's such a good answer, because I mean, most gurus out there and like on YouTube and content, it's all about quitting your job and all these things. But
it's nonsense.
I also believe that I think it's much better to be strategic about actually how do you quit your job. If you want to quit your job, being strategic about it and thinking about planning your exit, like maybe 6 months ahead or something. I think it's much better.
Plan it ahead and then actually go into work every day with a different mindset of like, I'm just going to absorb and learn. Because people get too caught up in the money. Oh, I'm only making 4K a month. I'm only making 5, 6K a month. Instead of thinking about like, it's a growth opportunity. And your income is just a reflection of your personal growth. It's really a reflection of your skills, your habits. I watched your podcast with Rand, your character. I thought that was a great point. Like, you need to develop all of these things to be a good entrepreneur yourself.
Exactly. I love that. I think, so, you know, for me, actually, I've always been saying this my whole life, which is I'm only working for places because I'm growing and learning. If I'm not growing or learning, I'm out of there. I don't care how much money am I getting. I think especially between your 20s and your 30s, it's this grinding time. It's important to make money, but more important is the experience and the learning.
100%.
So I think like jobs are good if you pick the right ones and if you use them at your advantage, like you just described. I think it's great.
And for some people, it happens later. Like, I'll use my dad as an example. He went bankrupt or had like financial issues, you know, when he in his 20s and then 30s, and then he had periods where he did really well, and then, you know, he lost a lot of it again, and he didn't actually start making serious money until he was like in his 50s or 60s. Like, I'm 25 and I see these other 21-year-olds stressed that they're not rich yet. Like, my dad didn't make proper money until he was like 50, 60, and he went bankrupt multiple times. Like, so I also think being in a family where I've seen that the gratification actually needs to be way more delayed than we even think. Like, we're thinking in months, but sometimes it's years or decades. That really helps. And he wouldn't have had that big unlock at a later stage in life if he hadn't networked for decades and learnt for decades and lost money in the past and had bad investments in the past. So that's why I look back on like all of my mistakes, like you mentioned in the beginning, like missing the Anthropic round, or, you know, even mistakes with sponsors or mistakes with misallocating funds. Like, I still am like severely underallocated to equities versus what I should be. Like, I've made mistakes, but you learn from it. And as long as you can actually learn from it and implement it, then you just develop character and experience over time, and then you just become better and better and better. So even now, like I'll probably look back on myself. Like I feel like I'm superior now to myself 2 years ago, 1 year ago, but I'm probably gonna look back in 10 years and be like, fuck, that Miles at 25 was an idiot. He thought he was gonna do this, like he didn't even understand, like what an idiot. So I think it's all just about, experience. And I think by no means any of us at our final version, even if you're at 60, 70, even if you're at 80 years old, there's still stuff to learn and you could still make money. I'm
glad you mentioned that, because there's something you mentioned in some video, I think in a vlog or something, about how you were making more money in 2024 than now.
Way more.
Yeah.
10 times more. Because I'm losing money now because I just keep reinvesting.
Yes, but you weren't actually as good as a business owner.
Terrible.
Right? And so my question for you is, if you had the skills and the knowledge that you have today and you'd be back in 2024, what would have happened?
If you put Miles through a Doctor Who time machine back to 2024, I would have made $100 million. Easy.
Why? How?
Because at the time, I just did not understand. Really, it comes down to prioritization. Like I wasn't doing the things every day that were highest dollar per unit of time. I was thinking I was productive, but there were just some very small things that less clients, but we should have demanded a lot more. And we had such a reputation premium that we could have demanded 10x more. We would have saved time, and then I could have put that time into building better product funnels, better referral link funnels, scaling to more hosts, creating better evergreen content. I think I was also thinking a lot about short-term videos instead of videos that would bring in long-term revenue, like all of the sort of stuff that we do now, like how-to guides, beginner guides. If I had just every single day said to myself in 2024, I'm going to make a beginner's guide every single day, I'd still be making money from those guides now. So I would have put myself in a better position long-term. And I'd be more diversified. So obviously it's all hindsight, and I wouldn't know how to run my business now without learning those lessons. But I truly believe I had an opportunity then to make a lot more than I did. But it's fine, I'll do it now with the experience.
So you said two things: diversification.
Yeah.
There's one thing, and then also the
time management is ultimately the biggest issue. I think looking back, I only really had 3-4 employees. Now we have 30. So, but I was making more back then. So one of my big issues was I should have hired up a lot more, should have scaled up a lot more. I should have delegated a lot more. I should have been more aggressive with my money. I should have been buying other channels and, brokering better deals for myself to earn equity in certain products. I just would have gone a lot harder, especially on things like referrals and things that are that give you income down the track for years. If I prioritize that more, I'd probably be, I know friends right now, that make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month still, just from referrals back in the 2024 bull run. Still, even in a bad market. Still, meaning they can go around the world and do whatever they want without having to do anything because they're just milking cash. That's on the low end. I'm sure we know others that are still making millions even off this stuff, especially because things like Hyperliquid now offer perps. So now there's a bunch of people that sign up on their links that are now trading equities, SpaceX IPO, and they're milking off those fees now. So I think if I at the time had prioritized those things more with my time, and that would have changed the content as well. It would have been less just market updates. It would have been more evergreen content, which I learned from AI. What we did with AI is we went really top of funnel, and we had some really viral videos which got almost 1 million over 500,000 views. I think one's heading for 1 million. That it was a beginner's guide to Claude. And that's brought us, I don't even know, 20,000 maybe newsletter signups in one video. Now imagine that same strategy for crypto in 2023, just prior to the bull run. Imagine when meme coins were going viral, doing a how to sign up and trade meme coins on Bybit video. That would have made you over a 4-year period, probably $1 million. And you do that 20 times and you've made 20 million. Maybe I'm overestimating the numbers, but you kind of get where I'm going. That's just for referrals. It's the same logic for products. It's the same logic for... But this is so easy to say in hindsight. I'm sure but it's great learnings for me. It's all right, how do you maximize? How can one viewer today be still valuable to you in 10 years time? So maximizing for longevity and maximizing cost per, CPM, which is cost per million, but in this case, cost per view instead of just focusing on churning content out. So I think to summarize, I was putting out a lot of content and I was making a lot of money because I was capturing value. But if I, at the start of each day, was like, all right, I'm going to make a video today. What is the number one way that I'll maximize brand positioning, income generation, and community from this video? I think if I'd done that every day over a 300-day period, I'd be in a much different position now. Clearly, I'm not in a bad position. I'm not trying to claim I'm in some bad position, but I'd be in a better financial position. And, I got some comments on my video when I talked about my biggest losses. Everyone was like, oh, but you didn't lose 5 million. You said you could have made if you had sold Anthropic or if you had invested in Anthropic. But I actually think their logic's flawed. And it's probably the reason why a lot of these people that comment maybe aren't successful. They think too, it's a bit harsh, but they think too linearly. Opportunity cost is a loss. If I did not allocate $1 million to equities, but I should have with the information I had at the time, that is a loss. I can't be naive and sit here and be like, oh, but I technically didn't lose $1 million, so it's fine. No, because other people have expanded their net worth by 100% more than me. That was a fuck up. And not investing in Anthropic is a $2 million loss in my opinion, because I had the opportunity, it was clear, and I misallocated. So it's the same in business. You have to look at like misallocating funnels, misallocating views, as actual losses. Like these are like, if you had the power to do something quite obvious and you didn't do it, that's a loss. So I don't really get that argument with people, oh, but you didn't lose because you didn't lose money. It's like, opportunity cost is massive. That's why every fund doesn't track themselves versus how much money they make. Like if Warren Buffett and like Berkshire turns $1 billion into 1.2, it's not about the 200 million they made. Did they outperform S&P? I think this is the biggest skill. This is like probably one of the biggest advice, like golden nuggets of this podcast. People need to reduce the feedback loop on self-reflection. Meaning most people, they reflect on like a 1 year period. It's New Year's resolutions. Like, was I successful this year? And why wasn't I successful this year? Whereas if you can do that every year, why not do that every quarter, even better every month, even better every day, even better every hour? So something I do in my day-to-day, like I genuinely do this, is I'm reflecting, I'm very self-aware, I'm reflecting in my head on every single hour of the day. Like, is this the most productive use of my hour? Am I on the right direction this hour? Am I doing this? So every day I'm having this feedback loop, whether it's like, did I go to the gym? Did I eat healthy? Did I do this business thing? It doesn't mean every day is perfect. I have some shocking days, but it's just being aware of it. And then that's why I have this reflection ritual every night. Like in the shower, I like actually just talk to myself every night and I go through like, all right, what went well today? What went bad? What could I do better? Because you're building that feedback loop. Your brain's like an algorithm, just like an AI. It's trained on data, right? If you're only reflecting once a year, you're only processing that data once a year. You should be processing the data of your productivity and your direction every single day, or even better, within every single day. So this mentality that I have now, if I had that in 2024, that's why I'm saying I would have compounded so much bigger results, because I would have been very aware every single day of like, directionally, am I doing the right thing? And I feel like if I was asking myself that question more often, I would have built probably a much bigger business. But I've been able to take those learnings and put
Don't you think like the best balance would be actually doing like micro self-reflections like on a daily basis, hourly basis, as you say, combine that with
hourly's a bit much,
long-term.
daily for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think you should do a daily review, like daily journaling. I have an AI system now where every night I send a voice message into Telegram. This is before my shower. It's more of a business one. That's more of a personal reflection. And it logs. So I have a daily journal that logs every single day into my memory database, because then I can prompt the AI on it. I can ask ChatGPT or Claude. I can plug any model into my memory database and say, what is the most common trend that you see across my life every day? What do you think my weak points are? What do you think my strong points are? Because if you ask GPT that now, it won't be able to give you a good answer because it only remembers certain selective things. You don't even know what it's remembered about you, by the way, because it's a black box. Whereas if you journal every day and you have a memory system and you give it to an AI, now the AI has the data to actually give you the right prompt. And this is where people fuck up with business AI. That if you're going to ask an AI a strategy question about your business, you better make sure the AI knows every single thing about your business. So you better make sure that you have all the data, all the analytics packaged in an AI-friendly way where you can prompt the AI and query it on your business. So I feel like to become good at AI, it's actually not about knowing how to use AI very well. It's about how to be really good at data collection and organizing data. And if you can organize data well, you don't need the AI skill because the AI will take care of it for you. So I think people need to move away from like prompt engineering and AI engineering into like data and management and engineering.
Memory
and
systems.
Memory engineering, yeah. And if people want to know what I use, Superbase is great. You can use Firebase, Super Memory. All of these systems are better than, you can even have a local folder where you do manual exports. But ideally, you would have Superbase because then it's on the cloud. And then you can connect, if you switch LLM, so if you switch from Claude to GPT, you can just switch models.
That's so great that you're talking about that. I set up my second brain on Obsidian, like because of you and through your tutorial. And since I did that, my life just completely changed. Like having a second brain that actually processes way more data and way faster than you and brings the full context into every decision of your life or into every problem, anything, it just completely changes
it's all context, yeah.
It just completely changes.
Like you want to be able to ask the AI, what do you think of this product funnel? And have it relating it to the other products in your business and the past products that you launched that failed and the data of your current products. Because if I just ask that with one prompt, how on earth is it supposed to give a nuanced answer? And that's why I feel like decision making with AI as a tool could be very risky unless it has like all of the context.
And maybe I think maybe a lot of people will understand prompt engineering listening to this right now. Like, okay, everyone knows what a prompt is at this point, like, and that the more work you put into a prompt, the better results you're going to get, all of that if you give context. But maybe tell me, like, in a simple way, what do you mean by memory engineering? Like what do you mean by that exactly? And why do you think that's more important than the
I'll actually
prompting?
simplify it. Memory sovereignty. You want to own your own memory. So the problem with ChatGPT is you don't own your own memory because you don't know what it's stored about you because it's a black box. If I message ChatGPT, all it knows is what it chooses to remember. So you need a system where you automatically have the things that you want the AI to remember being remembered and logged in a database that you own. Meaning, if ChatGPT bans me, right now, if it bans me and all my memories on ChatGPT, it takes all my memory, it owns all my memory. I want a system where if ChatGPT bans me, or even if I drop my phone in the ocean or my computer gets stolen, I have all my memory on the cloud or somewhere that I can access or backed up that I can just take and put into another AI model. So there are many options for this. I'll probably have to do a full video on it. My recommendation for people would be look into Superbase if you're okay with using Claude Code. It's not hard to set up. You can set up a memory system for it. If you want to go really simple, you could even just have a local folder and just have an instruction in that folder and use, instead of using the ChatGPT interface, this is actually a hack. Don't use ChatGPT or Claude through the interface. Only ever prompt through Cowork on Claude or Claude Code. Or if you're using GPT, don't speak to GPT, only speak to GPT through codecs, because these are the only ways that your AI can access an external memory system. You can't plug in a normal chat to a cloud memory system, but you can plug in Claude Code or Codex or Cowork. So you need to actually you can't plug in Cowork to Superbase, but you can plug Cowork into a local folder, which you could download from Superbase. Or if you had a local folder system, it could just tap into that folder. And you have a system where basically it auto updates. So you have an instruction in that folder, which tells it to update memory every time you give it a new piece of information. So then that's a self-updating folder. So I think a self-updating folder and prompting through the coding interface is the first iteration, the easy one for people to understand. But if you want something that fully backs up and is available 24/7 and doesn't matter if your computer breaks, then you want a cloud system. And that's where you need to use something like Superbase or Super Memory, which is a little less sovereign, but it's still better, or Firebase, or there are so many solutions for it. Just pick one, you can look into them. Yeah, even ask Claude, before I put out my full video on this, just ask Claude, what the best memory solutions are. It'll give you a few, but all of these are better than just messaging Claude and hoping it remembers stuff.
So on this topic of the memory systems and bringing your whole personal and business context into when you use AI, how do you think this is important as a creator? How did this change your life as a content creator?
It's changed creation so much in a few ways. The first way it's changed content creation is on ideation. So what AI is really good at is it's good at processing a lot of data. Like I can't look at 200,000 YouTube videos and identify trends. So what AI is really good at is going through the entire library of AI videos and working out what are the viral vectors. So what are the things in the thumbnails and the titles that make them go viral? And it can package that information for you. And then you as a creator can have the final say on what you think will do well for your audience. So I will never fully outsource ideation. I think it's a stupid philosophy to assume that AI can pick your next video idea. It can't, but it can give you the data for what has performed. And the system I use is we have a way to present that data. We have a software, and then I go through and I choose the ones that I think will work well. And then sometimes as well, I'll just pick something that my audience is asking for, or I just think will do well, and then I'll create it. So that's on the ideation point of view. Another thing we use AI a lot for is clipping. So that is genuinely like Opus Clip. Higgsfield has a new clipping tool now. That's really good because you can just distribute a lot more content. Now, there's still manual interfacing. You know, it's better if you still give it the right caption. It's still better if you give it the timestamp, but it does save a lot of time. And then the next thing I use AI for a lot for is helping me script. Because now I never read off a script. I just have dot points. But the ability for me to just send a voice message like, okay, I want to do a video on memory. These are my preferred memory systems. This is what I do. This is blah, blah. What's the best way to package it? And having it be able to give you like bullet points and then me to be able to go in and refine those bullet points is so much easier than the past system that you had to use of like, you literally had to write them all down yourself. And there was so much procrastination. Like I have ADHD. So if a mountain feels too hard to climb for me, it's like really hard to get over sometimes. So I would procrastinate filming videos because it's like the scripting process was hours. Whereas now, it's the same idea, but the scripting process has gone from 2 hours to 20 minutes. And that makes it a lot easier for me to be like, all right, let me just quickly script a memory video. Like I can do that in 20 minutes now.
So walk me through right now in terms of like, okay, like, you want to do a video. Okay, so just walk me through quickly, like what's the process like from, you know that you want to do a video to ideation, to the scripting, to actually hitting record. Like how is that different now with AI versus before?
The first thing you need is a database. I mean, you can literally do it on Notion or whatever tool you use or a custom tool, even a Google Sheet, but it's not as good. You want to have all of your ideas because ideas come at any time. They come in the shower, they come on my phone. I saw a great idea today when I was scrolling through X looking at YouTube experts. You want to have somewhere where you can just dump ideas. So if we have a Notion database, that's the first thing. When I feel like I'm in a mood to script or it's on my calendar in a time block where I do creative stuff, usually in the mornings when I have more mental energy, I'll go through my database and I'll get inspiration from my own ideas and I'll pick one. A lot of those ideas also come from, as I said before, the AI ideation system that we built, which I also mentioned in a recent video that I did. I showed people the system roughly. I haven't done a full breakdown. We might do it later. Some of it's proprietary, like there's some algorithms and stuff we pay consultants for, and we have all sorts of extra data. We have some of the top YouTube strategists in the world that we work with, that work with other creators. So we get ideas there. We manually select them based on the AI suggestions and also things that I think of. We put them into Notion. Then it moves to, honestly, this phase is not done by AI. I will sit down. I'll ask my team, what do you guys think we should do next? We have really smart consultants on that front too. And I'll just decide what I want to do next as well. Like it's pretty obvious to me what will go viral. Like I think if you generate enough feedback loops, you kind of know what ideas are going to do well. Now, sometimes they don't, but intuitively you have an idea like, all right, Ultimate Guide to Claude should do pretty well. I fired 5 employees and replaced them with AI, which is a video I just filmed. I think that'll do pretty well. Might flop, but you have these feelings. Then I'll move them into like the next up category, and then I'll script batch. So I'll put that idea into Claude, a Claude chat. I have a Claude skill for video production. I did a full video on skills. Basically, it just knows my preferences. Like these are the lengths of the videos. I want my script in bullet points. I don't want you to write the language for me. I want visuals, these kind of visuals when you think it's necessary. And I need an editor brief and I need a main brief. It just saves me every time having to be like, I need an editor brief. I need a main brief. I need bullet points because it knows how I like it. I just / video production skill. I drop the idea in. I send a long voice message. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, ask me 10 questions and I'll answer them based on this video. I'll just voice dump my entire idea. Then me and the AI are already on the same page. Then it will give me the structure. I'll critique the structure. I'll spend like 20 minutes just on the CTA. I think it's so important. Like and we're not selling anything, but we funnel to like free newsletter, free community. Like it has to be at a very strategic point in the video. So I'll spend more time sometimes picking the point for the CTA. And when I say subscribe and like when I mention my accomplishments or like, I'm 25 years old, I'm doing this, like all that stuff. You don't want to tank retention in the early days of the video. We've done a lot of we do a lot of analysis on my old videos as well. And I've had my strategist come to me and be like, look, Miles, whenever you spend too long talking about this, people drop off. So you're also taking data in, and you can actually create a swipe file. And I update my production skill once every 1 to 2 weeks with the new data that we get. So it already like optimizes the scripts a little bit for data. And then I'll basically, go through that scripting process. And then, look, it's still not easy to set up a video for recording. Like even we have developers that help with some of the creation for some of the assets for the videos. You still need to approve them. You still need to test them yourself. You still need to make sure that they work and they're camera ready. And you still need to make sure, if like my personal OS video, I had to create a second version, which took like an hour to get my real data off there and put demo data on, so I wasn't leaking like my net worth and my entire strategy and all that stuff. So there's still like a lot of stuff to get production ready. So I'd be lying if I said it still only takes 20 minutes to film. Some of these videos are like a 4-hour process. Like last night's video took 3 hours to script and an hour to film.
You mentioned something very interesting there. There's a part, so in the process of doing a video now, which is very much powered and like fast-tracked with AI, especially ideation, scripting, there's a part there that you say that you don't involve AI on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's truly important, right? Because that's, if I understood it correctly, that's how you actually make sure that it's not a pure sort of AI built video, but there's a human element that doesn't get touched by AI.
You want to know the problem with AI? What's AI trained on?
History.
Yeah, history. It's trained on the entire internet. It's trained on the past. It's not trained on live data, which means the output from the AI, it's just the median. It's just the average. So if you're asking for stock advice, it's the average answer. If you're asking for a video title, it's just going to pick the average answer that it thinks will appeal to you. So it's thinking what will appeal to him. The problem with that is that it will never pick the most viral outlier because it'll either play too safe or it'll go too clickbait because it's trained on all the other clickbait titles from YouTube. Especially if you use Gemini, it's like trained on YouTube. So the problem with AI, it can help you riff and it can help you tweak and it can definitely help, synthesize data, but it can never make the final video title decision. It can never make the final video selection decision because it's just average. And unless it has live data, even we've plugged all of our live data through MCPs to Claude, and it still doesn't do as good of a job as us and our strategists are going viral. So it's bad news for people that just want a lazy handout, but it's good news for people that are willing to work and learn and build expertise in a field because you could still have an edge, and then AI becomes a force multiplier. And I think overall, this is a big misconception with AI, that it's just going to become an amazing trader for you. It's going to just build an agency for you. It is only really powerful in the hands of people that have already built an agency or already know how to trade. And that's why we were able to take like our sales CRM from like landing 1 call a day, or like I think it was like 0.5 calls a day to 4 calls a day, because we already knew the basics of sales. And now we're just force multiplying with AI. We can do even more of that thing. We already knew how to go viral in content. So now with AI, we can just produce more clips and more content. And I already know how to trade, so I can use AI to become even more optimized with my trading, even more precise with my execution. So it's force multiplying existing skills. So the whole concept of like building human skills and expertise has not gone away. Actually, I think we're moving away from a world where it's like, it's not you versus agent. It's like you and agents. It's going to be like, it's Miles as an expert with his army of 20 AI agents, which is helping him produce more content, better content, and optimizing his funnels. It's not like these 20 are going to like replace me. And I feel like if you get that twisted, you might optimize for the wrong things, especially in business.
Oh my God, this was such a good clip right there, man. Yeah.
You just think clips. That's so the thing. Good. We could just keep this in because that's the thing about, I'm not trying to optimize for clips, by the way, but there's also something that you can
but what he said there about like, like it's not gonna necessarily, it's not you versus the agent, and is you and the agent. That's such a good such a good quote, because there's all this narrative about it's going to replace you and all of that, but it's more complex than that, right? It's like of course it's going to replace a bunch of the tasks that AI is just going to do better, like repetitive, systematic stuff, obviously, that humans are not meant to do anyways. Everyone gets bored, right? Rather, it's going to create a whole new world of opportunities that you probably don't even foresee right now what it's going to be like, right? And I think that's a very good point to bring up, and I'm happy you made that
and this
differentiation.
if you have this mentality, even if you're working a 9 to 5 or in the corporate world, that's what's going to give you an edge. So you need to, if you're applying for my company right now, I'll speak from my perspective, and I'm sure if I have this opinion, a lot of other entrepreneur friends will think the same. If I have 2 employees applying for a role, and one comes to me and they're like, Miles, I'm a great analyst. I pick, really good projects, and I'm really good at analyzing the market and this and that. And it's like, okay, that's great. This is my track record. Cool. And then the other person B comes in and they're like, okay, Miles, I'm a pretty good analyst. I'm okay. But what I've built is I'm coming to you with a team of 10 agents, and we run this process, and this is what we deliver every day. Even if the second person's less skilled than the first person, if they really understand how to use AI, like, I'm getting a better output as an employer. So people need to think about this in their jobs. Like, if you're applying for a job, I guarantee if you're going for a job interview and you actually know how to use AI and you pitch to your boss about how you would actually bring this into the role, that employer is not hiring one employee, they're hiring 11, because you actually understand this technology. So that's why I think, it's a misnomer that it only applies to entrepreneurs or it only applies to business owners. This applies to everyone, even in the corporate world. Now, of course, companies are going to have restrictions on data, and some have preferred LLM models and all this stuff, but it's not about that. It's about generally understanding how to engineer memory, genuinely understanding how these flows work, how AI actually works, and you will offer so much more to your employer. And the way to do that is just from trying stuff. Build a bot. Because by building a trading bot, you'll learn how to use an MCP, you'll learn execution, you'll see where the fuck-ups happen. Just pick one thing in your daily life. Like, write down a list of all the things you do on a daily or a weekly basis, and just pick one of those things to automate. Like, you're kidding yourself if you don't have one thing in your life that AI can't automate. Like, everyone can, whether it's your personal accounting, managing your personal subscriptions, a personal habit tracking OS dashboard, a personal finance tracker, a personal portfolio review. I can think of so many ideas, and I'm pretty sure all 6 of those apply to, like, most people watching this. Like, there are so many things you can automate. It's just like anything in life. You just have to do it. It's just like going to the gym. You don't need to optimize like the workout perfectly, push, pull legs, upper, lower, this, that, this amount of volume, this food. Just fucking firstly get to the gym, start trying it out, see what your body responds to, see how many calories makes you lose weight, see how many calories makes you fat, and then just optimize. It's the same thing with AI.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, even you don't know how to go about it, you literally just start the conversation with the AI saying, hey, how do I go about this? I have this idea. I do these things in my life. How do I go about it? Can you teach me on how to automate this? And this will literally guide you. And this is so cool.
List 20 things that you do in your life. Like, do an audit. Spend a whole day doing this, or spend an hour doing this. However long it takes you. Write down everything you can think of that you do. Even if you think AI can't do it, just write it down and feed it to the best AI model. Right now, it's the new GPT models, but Claude could release something better next week. So who knows? Whatever the best, smartest model is at the time, give it to that model and ask it, how many of these tasks could be automated? And out of each task, what's the highest leveraging for me to automate? And how do you automate it? And go through the list and just pick one out of 20. And then the next week, you do 2 out of 20. And then 3 out of 20. And then 4 out of 20. And then within 20 weeks, you've automated your entire life, which is not, okay, it depends on what you're optimizing for. You can maybe chill by a beach or like take work less seriously. I think the more powerful thing is, once you free up that time, now you have more time to like develop more systems and build a business. And, these are things that, I used the Brian Armstrong analogy before. Like, maybe if he had AI, he would have built Coinbase even quicker in his spare time, because now the time you can unlock and the force multiplication you can unlock is like 10, 20x what it used to be. So you can build an application much faster. You can build a system much faster. We develop front ends for all of our products. It used to be such a lag, like 2 to 3 weeks, get a web developer, review it. Now these things can be built and iterated in a single day. So the rate of working is sped up. Now, an interesting point as a side note to that is that your work is sped up, but everyone else's work is also sped up too. So, and maybe you relate to this if you're an entrepreneur or you're really ambitious. I'm in an awkward spot where you have to keep working, and you have to keep working harder because everyone else has this advantage now. So there's a bit of like a psychology of like, well, I'm competing against other media companies, but I'm not some genius because I have Claude. They also have Claude. So I need to use Claude better, and I need to keep leveling up and keep hiring developers and doing it faster than these other guys, or these other guys are going to beat me. That's because my competition is anchored in other business owners. the advantage you do have if you're retail, so if you're not running a business, is that most other retail are so behind on this stuff still. I mean, there was this dot plot. Maybe you can even edit it onto the screen. Like there's like a dot of all the people in the world that use AI, and then there's like 2 tiny little dots that are using AI regularly. Now we know over 10 years that's going to fill up, but right now you still have an advantage to be literally in the first 5% of adopters and the first 1% of serious adopters. So you have instantly the ability to get advantage over everyone else. So it's a fascinating space. I feel like there's actually been a bit of a divergence between businesses right now. Like I think there's some businesses who are in software and stuff who are like working harder than ever, and it's like more competitive than ever because everyone else has this stuff. And you see it in like the hyperscalers, like everyone's trying to spend more money than each other because they need more data centers than the other person. And it's become this race. But if people took that same mentality in terms of, against other humans in their daily life, even if it's like, 1% of that mentality, you would just be able to get so much further ahead because the urgency is not there if there's not an economic urgency for the average person.
Okay, so look, if someone built only one system this week for the most compounding leverage over the course of 12 months, what would be that system?
It's a very good question. I think it does slightly change based on what you're doing. Like, let's say I'm a content creator and I'm spent 8 hours of my day's content creation. Clearly, I would start there because it's going to buy me the most time. So the question is, and this is where the audit I discussed earlier comes into account. You need to find the thing that you spend the most time on, and you need to find a way that AI can reduce that to buy you back the most time. Because the whole point is AI buying you back more time. I would say aside from that thing, something that probably applies to everyone is a good personal database management system. Now, you said you use Obsidian. I think that's great. I do think there are upgrades you can make to it by automating it with Claude Code, even developing better UIs, because Obsidian, the UI still isn't purpose-built for like certain things. It's great for querying. I built a personal OS that was more based on my productivity. So I've gamified like checking off habits every day, and I have an input system where if I have something to do, I send a message to Telegram. My assistant automatically logs that to a database and categorizes it based on priority and based on category type. So now I no longer have to go into Notion, like manually add something because it's automatically logged it. And when I go to sit down to do work now, let's say on my calendar, I've time blocked an hour of administrative tasks. I can just prompt the AI and be like, what are all my administrative tasks? And put them in order of priority. So now it's saving time in terms of task switching. And little things like that, you might be like, oh, but it only takes 5 minutes to add stuff to Notion. But it's not that. It's the fact that you actually don't do it. Most people's productivity systems and to-do lists fail because there's just enough friction to make you not consistent at doing it. So if AI can remove a little bit of friction on the personal productivity front, there are massive downstream productivity unlocks. So it's about being really honest with yourself and working out like, what are the things that I struggle with and how can AI help? If I struggle with starting a task, how can AI make it slightly easier? That is like, I think, a massive unlock for the average person, aside from the obvious advice, which is like, just pick the thing that takes you the most time.
There's a lot of things about you, right? There's a lot of things that you've built, that you've learned, a lot of skills that you've acquired. I think traits are probably more important than skills, and like skills are overrated in general. Do you think like this one trait that you have, like this kind of hunger, competitiveness, drive, is the one that if you remove it, everything else will fall apart?
Yeah, if you got rid of my hunger, competitiveness, I mean, I still probably have enough pride to like do the work, and I still want to make an impact. And there's still other drivers which would, I still think I'd be successful, but I wouldn't be the best. There's a big difference between being successful and being the best. Like with my AI media company, I want to be the best. I don't want to be the 3rd biggest AI company. I don't want to be the 4th biggest. I don't want to have the 5th biggest product. I want to have the best product. And that's a massive, I feel like a massive driver.
Let's talk about AI Edge a little bit. So you started AI Edge like in a time that it wasn't that obvious that AI is going to be such a thing that we need so much content about it. And
we started way before a lot of the others as well, but we weren't as fast as we should have.
I remember when you started, like you even got like hate because you were like this crypto guy that does really good research, finds the altcoins, right? And suddenly you start this AI thing. Although you already show that you'd be into AI with some AI trading videos. Actually, I've edited some of those. Actually, I think one of the first ones at Banter. The
Oh
And
yeah, that's. I
do you
think
remember
maybe you
the
did it. Yeah,
like
yeah.
very
Yeah.
it's actually one of the most successful videos at
Yeah,
Bender still
I know.
today.
And it's one of the
Is that
first
one?
viral trading videos on YouTube. Thomas Crowlow at the time was like the one we were kind of, mimicking, or I think it was like inspired by him, and we blew up.
That's
We,
so
we were
good.
two of the first at the time. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's crazy. I forgot.
so so okay, so you are this guy on Twitter, on YouTube, and suddenly you start AI.
We should have doubled down on that instead of.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that was
but
probably a mistake.
it wasn't that obvious in
needed
the
to-
time.
yeah.
And it was very complex at the time. It wasn't very effective, to be honest. Like, it was good content, but
wasn't-
could you actually make money
You'd
out of it?
sign up a lot of people, but they wouldn't convert. But I think that would have changed down the track. I think it was just a game of just farming, and you would have,
It was too complicated for most people, I think, at the time.
yeah, and the models weren't good enough. And yeah, it was. You're right.
Yeah, I think it was just good
It wasn't
content.
ready. And I feel like AI media, the reason it's exploded now is because the market's ready for it. The market wasn't ready at the time.
But the thing is, it wasn't ready at the time, yet you started AI Edge, right? And there's something very interesting here, because I'm not sure if it's kind of the same pattern on you. Before AI, you were this guy on Twitter and YouTube, finding the altcoins early, the narratives early. Like, you were known for finding things early, right? And you started AI before everyone else. And my question is, like, how do you identify trends early? That it's not just about altcoins, as we've seen, right?
It's the
also
same
about
skill.
AI. How do you identify these trends early, and you know that they're going to be a big thing, so you need to capitalize attention right now towards those?
I think it's a game of a lot of reflecting, and I think you have to constantly be thinking, like, where's the world heading? And I think a lot of it is going that step further of, like, what's the first principle? So, like, AI is going to be big because of XYZ. And then what's the second order effect? And what's the third order effect? So I think you have to go through that process in your head in order to work out what's going to come next. And like in 2024, it was like, all right, crypto and blockchain's big now, but what's the second order effect? Like what's that going to create? It's going to create a new financial system. AI is also becoming massive. There's going to be convergence because that financial system will need to be automated. It will need to be on blockchain rails. And like that was one of the like theses that I had at the time, which we're now starting to see play out. And then, I mean, I think a lot of it is just being awareness of like what's happening and where trends are heading, and just think and trying to like put yourself 10 years in the future and being like, all right, where are things going to go in 10 years? And then reverse engineering. And obviously in crypto, this was on a 1 year time frame, but like the 4 year cycle or like a shorter time frame of like, all right, we'll rotate from RWA to AI or whatever. But across a 10 year time frame, where are things heading? What's the final outcome? Let me reverse engineer the most effective thing that I can do today to achieve or benefit from that outcome. And for me right now, it's AI media because there's a convergence of my skill sets. Like I'm very good at content. I understand distribution. I already have a brand and I understand AI. So and it's going to be a massive thing in the future. And there's so much demand for it. And we're still barely scratching the surface of how big that market's going to be. And we're already seeing the trends with, like OpenAI. I think they invested 1 to 200 million in TBPN, like one podcast. So clearly like distribution is a massive thing for products. We're seeing it on the agency side. The campaign budgets are skyrocketing. It's insane. Like we're helping broker multi-million-dollar deals. Like it's nuts. So I feel like this is the best place to utilize my current skill sets with where the market's heading. So I think someone watching this podcast can look at the future. Where's the future headed? Really think about that first in isolation, and then reverse engineer. What is my skill set today? What do I have available to me today? And what can I do to benefit and contribute to this future? Because the more productive you are as a human in terms of contributing to massive trends, ultimately the more money you're going to make. And that's obviously what happened with crypto. We spotted the trend early. Like I was in crypto way beyond the 2021 and 2024 bull runs. I was there 2019. So this forecasting happened much earlier. And then it obviously happened on a micro. I bought Bitcoin in the bear market for $5,000. That's what made me my first 100K in crypto. And then, 100K including my Ethereum buys, technically. Bitcoin, I bought 5K to 50. I bought some XRP and Ethereum at the time. Got me over 100K. And then obviously the rest is history. And then with the altcoin stuff, it was more, you weren't looking over a 5-year period, or a 10-year period, you're looking over a 1-year period. But it's that same thing of like always needing to be on the front foot. I feel like my natural traits, like I process information very quickly. I have ADHD. I'm like very like hyper focused when I'm interested in something. These natural traits help me just be a little bit quicker with digesting information and acting. It's not always perfect though, because I made some mistakes. One of the big mistakes I made was I had this AI thesis and I allocated a lot of time and energy towards the business, but I didn't allocate the same effort towards public markets, which I should have been doing both at once. But I had this idea that, but if I invest, millions in equities and I go all in on this business, I'm too exposed. I'm all AI. And if something happens or if there's some rate shock or something, my portfolio will just tank. So I diversified with other things like, gold, property, etc. But it's really underperformed equities. I do hold equities, by the way, but that was also a miscalculation for me as well. So you can be good at, that's a lesson that I think is important to touch on, because you can be good at forecasting, but you need to act in accordance with that thesis as well. And with a lot of people, the idea is one thing, but then it's the execution that's the hard part. You actually need to execute on that. You can find Bitcoin, but if you don't buy Bitcoin, you're not going to benefit from it. You can be 100% sure that AI is the future, but if you don't build an AI business or benefit from it in your own life, it doesn't matter. So one thing is forecasting, the other thing's acting on it. And the times where I've been able to act on it, whether it be trading crypto, building a crypto business, building the AI business, investing in AI companies, that's when, I've gotten the biggest payoffs.
You touched on something very interesting, which is one of the first things that you need to have in order to catch the trends early is having awareness. How do you create that awareness? How do you build that awareness that gives you that kind of bet to then be able to instinctively tell this is gonna be big?
I think there's two parts. The first part is what I used to do before AI existed, and I still do to this day. It's a lot of manual research and awareness. I'm perpetually on X, I'm perpetually online, I'm perpetually on the news, I'm watching a lot of podcasts, I'm in the circles, I've curated my feed quite well with lists on X and YouTube subscription feeds. I still get sucked into the algorithm sometimes, but I'm just keeping tabs on what's happening. I think that's very important. Because that is where something will pique my interest, and then I'll use AI to prompt it. So my system is really about, I look at an idea, a podcast, I might watch All In, Chamath might say something, I'm oh wow, it's actually true. And then I'll put that line into GPT, I'll be is this how it's going to play out? What are the negative effects? What are the positive effects? And then I'll go and manually research equities based on it. And then I'll prompt about those equities. So you're taking ideas yourself and then you're using AI to help apply those ideas. That's one system. The second system is actually automating a lot of the research. And only now is that really possible where, for example, I'm working on right now. It's in the early stages, but it's already getting some great results. A scanner, which automatically scans my X followers every day and my following list every day, and scans all of the top market posts every day to try and extract alpha in both crypto and equities. So I can find small caps from really good traders and performers who have a good track record. And then the real thing with AI is it can process hundreds of thousands or millions of tweets, but then it can curate me a feed of the 50 best ones. So then I'm already looking at the gold. I'm in a gold mine area. I'm not just in some random area trying to find gold. There's gold here. I just need to find it, and it just helps save a lot of time. So I think obviously being manually aware and exposed helps with awareness, and just consuming a lot of content, but then strategically building systems for the thing that you want to find, because you have to also know what you want to find. If you're building a YouTube business, it might be the stuff that's helping to go viral on YouTube. If you're investing, it might be the alpha that helps you to get an edge in markets. Now you can build AI systems to effectively do that.
And okay, that's it. So, and about AI Edge, Laura, right? The media company that you started, what was? Of course, you caught the trend early. You saw AI coming. You felt like you need to start creating content. Was there? Maybe there wasn't, but was there any moment that you felt, okay, no, this is it. I need to start now. Something. Was there anything that you saw that was the moment?
I don't think there was one particular moment, to be honest. We actually started the channel in April 2024, and we at that moment, I'm I need to do this. I was because I saw the trend was picking up. And I knew we were really early. I knew no one had really dominated AI. I made a mistake that year. 2025. It wasn't 2024. I made a mistake that year of not treating it with the urgency it respected, because I think between April and October, we hadn't really produced much at all. And I was honestly a bit distracted. We were pushing hard on the vlogs. I was trying to fight against the tide in crypto. I was trying to push my crypto products, and I was trying to trade when the market wasn't there. And then we had this August period where I was oh, market might be coming back a bit. I've got to lock in. And then, kind of ended up fading. Obviously Bitcoin hit a high that, so it took my attention away. And then And then, it took that to cool down for me to like snap out of it and be like, fuck, I got to go back into this again. And then this year we've just been like full on, and that's when I've gotten the best growth. It's been a bit of a lesson as well in like ADHD and like not getting sucked into the shiny object. Like I think now I need to be a lot more strategic with playing the long-term game. And I actually think when crypto dying, I mean, it's still around and there's still some altcoin trades. I mean, now they're doing really well, but, and Bitcoin's still okay, from a macro perspective. But I actually think sometimes, I actually think crypto crashing was probably the best thing that could have happened for my business, because it forced me, I already had this AI idea, but it forced me to execute. Now I had the time to execute and the financial motivation, which I think is really important, that I actually need to execute as well from a business perspective. And those things converged into action. Whereas whenever there's been periods where the markets have done really well, I've maybe made millions in the short term, but that's actually been a bad thing because it's just distracted me. It's just the shiny object from like this other thing, which is actually going to make way more. Because as I said before, you can't out trade what you can make in business. So I'm actually grateful that the markets are slower. Obviously, equities are hot because I've just had more time to focus on like actual business, and that's going to pay off like way, way, way more down the track. And then you obviously there's bigger plays here than just like content and products. Like, you buy influence or you develop influence over time to be able to get access to deals, opportunities, etc. No one else can get access to. And we know that's where a lot of the value creation is happening as well. So I think building a personal brand, I recommend like everyone does it if they can, or if they want to, because it unlocks so many opportunities, even if it's just networking, but obviously investment opportunities. Like the world is based on, if you own distribution, you own access. Like you will get access. People will want to collaborate with you. People will want to have you on their cap table. I mean, just even look at the business like Hormozi's run. Like why would someone go with acquisition.com? I'm sure he does a great job. I haven't had a product launching with him or working with him, but it's Hormozi as a massive brand. So people will, accept maybe a slightly worse term because they want Hormozi's face behind it, or they want they want to work with him because it's Hormozi, and he's able to get way better terms than the companies he's investing in. Like he gets discount. We saw this in crypto as well, but he gets discounts on rounds. He gets very favorable terms. He probably also has, he gets free equity based on, maybe certain milestones. He might even get 1 or 2% of the company just for partnering with them. If you build the distribution rails like he has, and the brand awareness and the personal brand, you get access as well. So I could just focus on just trading and just investing, but actually, if I put that same energy that I used to into building the brand, I'll make way more because I'll have access to opportunities were never possible before, like the Anthropic round. Like, I mean, no one had access to that round. I did because I had a connection that I developed because, I created value. I've become valuable. I've developed a network that's valuable to others. So they kind of want to scratch your back. It's how the world works. I could have made 2 million off that. That's just an example of something. I mean, I missed it for separate reasons, but literally an example of building influence and getting access. But that'll only become more frequent the bigger we get. Like this is only 2% of where I think it's going to be. And then once it's there, it'll just be insane.
You have a 9-figure target for AI Edge that you've
low target.
You
need a target.
You need a target.
The problem is I kind of wanted to do 1 billion, but I thought 100 million. I don't think the team would have bought into 1 billion. I don't think they would have believed me. So I had to set a more realistic target so people could like kind of believe me. But once we hit 100 million, on that first management call with the team, I'm going to raise it to 1 billion. Because AI distribution is more than 1 billion. 1 billion is underselling it. TBPN sold for, I think it was near 200 mil. They're one podcast with clipping. Like they were unique. They were very connected. They were in the right circles. They played their own cards. I can play mine. I've got different cards. I'll play these cards.
Walk me through that target. Why do you think it's going to be that valuable? How does the math work there? And also, I mean, you are losing money right now, right from it. So what kind of...
The math's fucking simple. AI companies are raising right now at 20, 30, 40 XP valuations. Let's talk 10x. Let's actually go on the low end of expectations. All I need to do to be worth $100 million as a business is generate consistently, obviously diversified, not just through my face, and obviously have a good structure behind it, and all of that is being built right now. All I need to do is generate $10 million a year to be worth $100 million. That's less than $1 million a month. We'll be making that within 2 months. Like we're already on the right track. I'm just being more aggressive with reinvesting because I'm trying to compound growth more. We'll be making that by end of year. It's very, very simple. Now, there's a difference between having 100 mil val and then actually raising it 100 mil. So you need to build your architecture in a way that can accept outside capital. And I know other businesses who have struggled with that, but that's a really good position to be in. Because if your growth trajectory is 10 mil a year, 15 mil a year, 20 mil a year, even if you don't sell the business, you're making 15 mil a year. Within 7 years, you're going to make 100 million yourself. So you can just keep running it and keep scaling and keep reinvesting. I actually think I'm not in a rush to exit or sell. I would only do it if there was a partner that I think could really help me grow, or I needed capital because I knew there was something that would grow us way faster. Like let's say I had a product vision that took millions in developer costs. Like maybe I would raise some capital for that. Or if there was a partner that I thought was really strategic, maybe I would raise some capital for that. But I don't need to exit for 100 mil. I could just keep running the business and I'll probably outgrow a 10x PE. And 10x is low. Like it probably should be worth 20x because by then I would have proved to the market that I can outgrow. A lot of this is just my belief in myself. Some people might be watching this like, fuck this guy, he's not going to make... Maybe I don't, but like I prefer to just like say this stuff publicly and just
but what's the... I mean, of course...
And just share the journey with people. People can see it.
Of course, it's a belief, but it's not like an empty belief. It's not like you just chose to... Like you trust yourself enough to know that you can monetize it.
And you only trust yourself enough once you've done it and once you've worked with people that have done it. So like I've already built a product. I mean, it's public knowledge. My info products have made over $5.5, almost $6 million. Like I've already done that. Our agency revenue's been over 20 million. Like these are like relatively big numbers. I mean, not big compared to others, but big in the scheme of the world. Like we've done it, and AI is way bigger. Like that was a tiny market, crypto, like tiny market. Like this market is 100x bigger. So if I execute here, like why can't our products do 50, 100, 150, 200 million revenue? Like they should easily be able to, especially as more people adopt AI. There are challenges, there's competition. I'm aware of the risks, but what's the saying? Like shoot for the stars, land on Mars. Like maybe I should, I want to get to 100 mil by the end of the year. Maybe I get to 70 or 50. It's all about compounding experience. And in your interview with Ram, which I thought was really good, by the way, he talked about compounding character. And he's so right, because all these experiences, and the faster you work and the faster your feedback loops are, like idea, iterate, execute, idea, iterate, execute. Like the faster these feedback loops, the more experience, the more data you get, the smarter you get, the faster, because you're learning lessons on such like a small basis, on such a short feedback basis, that you're just able to implement, improve, and iterate. And the faster you are with that calibration and with that learning, the more experience you're going to gain, the faster you build your character, and just the better you're going to become long term. So if I keep this mentality every single year for the next 10 years, $1 billion would be underselling the potential here. It could be 100 billion, because it's compounding. Life is just compounding. Money, skills, character, like it's just, you're just compounding. The quicker you compound, the better. If someone here is watching this at 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, like that should be your only focus. Fuck the money. I'm seeing too many guys, like they're looking at the TJRs, whipping Bugattis and Koenigseggs, and like that is not the objective here. The objective is like build your character, build skills through the pursuit of building character, gain experience, and as a byproduct, you'll make money. It might happen slower than you'd like, but you'll actually end up making more because you're building something that is valuable long-term. And defining what I think, creates a successful entrepreneur or human in the current era, I think it comes down to one word, and it's agency. You need high agency. And you can define high agency in a few ways, but I think the easiest way to define it is your speed of action. Like how quickly do you execute an idea? Because most people, they have these ideas, but they don't execute quick enough and they don't learn quick enough. So in the end, they don't compound quick enough. So I think speed is so important, and having high agency also means taking accountability for your own actions. And a lot of people blame others. Like even as a business owner, sometimes my employees fuck up and my initial reaction is like, you did this wrong or something. But actually it's my fault because I haven't trained them right. I've picked the wrong person, or I've allocated funds in the wrong way, or I haven't created the incentive structure to get the most out of them. It's actually my fault. I think people need to take a lot more accountability. If I lose money, it's actually my fault. It's not the market. It's not some whale it's my fucking fault. So I think high agency is about accepting that you have control over your own life. You own your mistakes. You also own your successes. And it's all just about moving fast and taking accountability. And these are just basic concepts that I think a lot of people don't, I mean, I'm not dismissing everyone. Like, I'm sure there's tons of people here who have good awareness, but emotional intelligence is like just as important as IQ. Like, I think that is one of, like, maybe I don't have the highest IQ. Like, I think I'm above average, but I don't think I'm a genius. I certainly don't think I'm like above 150 IQ, like probably below 140 if you did an IQ test. But I think I have a high emotional intelligence. I think I understand how to read people and how to reflect on my own emotions and understand where those emotions are coming from. So probably the most valuable thing someone could do is like see a psychologist and unpack this stuff. I did that for a period. I think that's really important. I'll probably do it again with another mentor. Like, I think getting business mentors who know more than you to speak about these things. Like, I'm just trying to learn and get better. Like, I want to have I don't have one yet, but I'd love a billionaire mentor to actually walk me through like maybe some of my thought process is wrong. And maybe just because I have gotten to some amount of success with this thought process, I think it's right, but actually it's not optimal to get to that next level. So like, you can always learn, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so much good
I'm just
things
ranting,
here.
but
No, so many good things you're saying here.
I'm really just ranting. I don't know if it's even coherent.
It's good. Don't worry. Like I would like to go back to this thing of like,
yeah, let's go back. I'm getting too distracted.
Let's go back to this 9-figure target you have, because right now you're spending 30K per month, right? Or 15? You said something like that. How much are you spending on AI Edge right now?
Minimum 6 figures, like well over 100K.
Okay, so you're spending over 100K per month on AI Edge.
And hopefully soon I'll be spending $500,000.
You're not making any money with AI Edge.
No, because if I make, let's say I launch a product and I make 300K day one, I'm reinvesting every single cent.
Yeah, yet you say that you can get into 8 figures per month with AI Edge, right? Yeah. So, and also
I'll be spending 8 figures a month. Look at Mr. Beast. This is what he did. He got a $10,000 sponsorship. He used that. He gave it away to the homeless because he knew it would go viral. Then he used that to get more sponsorships. And then he just reinvested into production to the point where now he's the biggest channel on earth and he's still making no money. It's not none. Why? Because he's reinvesting it all into production to make better videos, to go more viral. And now the Feastables enterprise value has skyrocketed probably to a multi-billion-dollar company because he didn't have this short-term mindset of like, I'm sure he had an opportunity to cash out $10 million a few years ago and go and buy a mansion, a Ferrari for himself, but he didn't. He put it back into the business and he just kept building value. And he probably wouldn't have become a billionaire if he was short-sighted and didn't keep reinvesting. So obviously you can't reinvest blindly. Like, I'm not just going to be like, oh, fuck, I have an extra 200K. Like, I may as well buy ads. Like, it has to be strategic. And if there's a month where I don't feel like there's a good allocation of capital, I'll save it in the business account. But like, at some point, I'm very willing to spend that because the only way to make money is to spend money. And this is a general mentality shift. I think some entrepreneurs, fall into the trap of, they focus, on scarcity. They have a scarcity mindset. They don't have an abundance mindset. And I was saying to you earlier, like, I'm spending, even on my personal life, I'm spending too much. I don't really want to drop my monthly expenses from they're around like 40 to 50K right now. I don't want to penny pinch down to 25 and have a worse place and not travel as much and do this and that because I know I'm just going to make the money back in the future. So I think, in fact, I think it's easier for me to make an extra 20K a month than it is to save 20K a month. Like, the pain of reducing my lifestyle is not worth it when I could just go and make another 20 to 40. And that mindset is like hard to get around, but I truly believe like that's the way to succeed. Like, if I had only $10,000 in my account, I was just starting, or even only $1,000, I wouldn't be trading or I wouldn't be investing. I would be just investing in myself. I'd use that 10 grand to for the flight ticket and the accommodation for 3 months to go to like a hub like Miami or New York, or maybe Dubai's more quiet now, but when it's lively, Dubai, even a Bali is probably not as good, but one of these hubs where there's other like-minded people and just learn and absorb and network and even use that money to start something. If I only had $200 in my account, I'd just put it into a Claude subscription. Like, this is the mentality that people need to have. It's like all about growth. And that mentality doesn't stop once you make millions of dollars. You actually have to keep that mentality of continuing to grow. And the only way to do that is keep reinvesting in yourself. I used to think these people that paid Tony Robbins or whatever, like 200 grand for a phone call, I used to think it was ridiculous. Who would pay 200 grand for a phone call? I understand now. Like, if I had a chance to meet one of my idols, or maybe not yet I would spend 200 grand on a phone call, but maybe in a year, like I genuinely would. I'd probably spend 30, 40 right now.
Who would you spend a large quantity of money with?
Okay, I think I need to book a call with Hormozy firstly. I've mentioned him a couple times in this podcast. Why? Because he's exactly run the personal brand playbook that I'm running. And he's run the media playbook. So it's a very direct. He's not the richest person in the world, and there are billionaires who are probably even smarter business than him, but he's very directly the most valuable influence. So probably I need to look at booking this call, but I think it's 100K an hour. Like I'm just not quite, maybe in a few months. The thing is as well, like you want to make sure you can maximize the hour. So I would want to go in these calls with very direct questions. Also a value add. You want to add value to people. If I can add value to his business, I'd rather do it then than just try and force my way into this fanboy. Like I genuinely would want to get value. I even heard a story of, there was this big podcaster who blew up, and he was paying podcast guests in the beginning to grow. He was paying 50 grand to get big guests on his channel. Like I'm pretty sure, I don't know how much it would cost, but if I wanted Andrew Tate on a podcast, I'm pretty sure I could buy my way in. It might be 100 grand, 200 grand. He's in Dubai. We both live on Palm. It's actually quite easy. Like you just drive down the road. Pretty no-brainer for him. Get a bit of, we have good distribution. He might do it for 100. I don't know. I haven't contacted his agency. I actually have a contact who's good friends with him. I think maybe he'd even do it for free. I'm just using it as an example. I wouldn't spend it, but like I could. So you could actually buy your way into influence as well, but you need to make sure that you're buying the influence you want. It's going to benefit you in the way that you want. And I know other podcasts that have done that. They've just gone out, they've paid a bunch of guests, they've got massive guests on their channel, and it's blown up their brands. And now they make 100, 200, 300K a month off sponsorships. So they make all the money back. So the mentality is really, that's why I struggle with stocks, by the way, because I can invest $1 million in equities, right? At best, I'm going to get a 15 to 20% return over the next 10 years, in my opinion, especially because you're buying in at very elevated prices historically. 15% return compounded. I'm turning $1 million into, quick maths, 2 million. I'm making $1 million. Don't you think I can spend $1 million on my business better? Don't you think $1 million of development power could build products that would yield me far more than $1 million? So like, I really struggle with allocating. Obviously, you need some diversification in case the business fails, because there is risk. You still want some backstop, but that's where it ends for me with equities. For me, it's just diversification, so I know I have a stock portfolio. If all goes to shit, I got something. But like, I'm much more interested in this puddle here, which is like the business. I'm investing in this pool with any capital I have spare. So I'll hold more cash. Like at times I'll be 50% cash, which right now is good because yields are very high. So you make 5%, whatever, maybe you just cover inflation, maybe not. But then when there's an aggressive opportunity to invest in ad spend, product development, acquisitions, I can now go and do it. So I think, that's why I struggle with liquid markets now. It's just like not, I can outperform liquid markets just through investing in myself and my business. It's just a huge mindset shift. Like you really need a different mindset shift. You need to have a completely different mindset in business than life. I feel like in life, it's a lot of it's about scarcity, like protecting against downside, protecting against fear, protecting against what can go wrong. And I think it's hard when you're just when your basic needs aren't met. I do admit, like it's very easy to say when your basic needs are met. I 100% agree. Like if I was struggling with bills or rent or something, it's hard to have a crazy abundance mindset when these basics aren't met. But as soon as your basics are met, I would really try and shift. Scarcity is good to get you your first 100K. Maybe you can earn your first 100K out of fear. But like if you want to get to millions, you need something a lot more powerful than that. Fear's not the best. Fear's not the most powerful business driver. You need optimism. You need to be like a relentless optimist.
Going back to the AI edge, your target of 9 figures, right now it's just a cost for you, right? Because you're just losing money with it. Yet you are a version of yourself now that you know that the long term is the big play. So you are losing money with AI edge right now, yet you know that you can get it to 8 figures per month revenue. So what is that you're doing right now with AI edge that you know that will compound to those figures?
Aggressively compounding community, viewership, and ownership. Like those are really the things we're doing. So we're just it could be a 2-hour podcast, but we're putting out a lot of content. We're spreading out to a lot of other channels. We're clipping really aggressively. We're running ad spend for the first time ever. We're growing very fast. I think I'd be the fastest growing AI social media company in terms of like growth, or one of them. I mean, I know that there are some individual creators going very viral now, but I mean, we're getting over 3,000-4,000 followers a day consistently. Even in the last 3 weeks alone, we have over 20 to 30,000 additional newsletter signups. Our free communities on Instagram and Telegram went from 0 to 25 in literally like a month. Like we're talking a month. So imagine 3 years of this, and imagine the models actually become good. Because right now they're still not actually that good. Like they're good, but they're not as good as they will. So imagine the models get even better, and imagine that dot plot starts expanding and more people get into AI. So we're already growing fast, and not everyone's even really that fucking interested in AI. What happens when everyone's interested? The growth is going to be insane. And in a year's time, I would have compounded a year's worth of knowledge. And we're making adjustments to how we create content, the topics we create. Like we're micro adjusting every day and improving. So we already go more viral now than we did 2 weeks ago because we understand the content better. So give me another year of that alongside expansion of these other things, products, additional channels, clipping, and it'll all converge. And it's compounding, right? It just gets bigger. The more you make, the more you reinvest, the bigger it gets.
So user acquisition.
It's a snowball effect. This is we've gone. What I'll tell you is we've gone through the hardest part. This first year was the hardest part. It's easier from here. I'm not saying it's less work. It's more work. It's more meetings. It's more networking. But it will be easier for the flywheel to grow now that YouTube works this way as well. Once you have 100,000 on a channel, it's easier to get to 1 million. 0 to 100K is way harder. 100K to 1 million on AI ads should be very, very, very fast. It's the same logic with money as well.
Okay, so right now your strategy is build influence, give value, acquire the users into your communities, your newsletter, and monetize later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got some other stuff up my sleeve. I'm also withholding some information. I'll be transparent because some of my competitors are watching, but there are some things that we're doing that you will see, and I'll announce in a couple of months that I think give us a massive advantage, a big advantage.
We didn't sign an NDA. Let's not get into the actual blueprint here going on, but
it could be a separate video. It's almost a separate video.
This is a whole separate, it's a whole separate thing. I'd like to quickly touch on the X topic because you've grown a huge influence on X. I think that's your biggest channel probably with 500, 600, right?
It's my biggest in terms of followers. Yeah. But if you asked me to trade the AI Edge YouTube channel or trade X, like I'd be pretty torn. Even though AI Edge only has 80K. I think 80K on YouTube is worth more than 700K on X. 100%. Because like in terms of X is a network builder. So the thing with X is that there are so many smart people on there. So you want to be on there because that's the way you get leads. So actually maybe I wouldn't trade it because I think the X still generates a lot of leads, like in terms of connections.
For YouTube.
And also for companies, getting in touch with other creators. Yeah, it really speeds things up. But in terms of retail impact, it's YouTube's way better. Like if I posted a link to a product, if I launched a course, let's say, I'm not going to, but if I launched a course, if I do, it'd be something a bit different. YouTube would convert 10x more than X. I'd convert maybe, if I converted 200 people on X, I would be converting at least 2,000 on YouTube with less people in the channel. But X is really good to speed up growth because you can funnel people to YouTube and that helps get the algorithm going. So you still want X and it's still amazing for brand building, but it's probably not the best conversion platform. It's different. It's like TikTok. You grow a lot faster, but you don't convert. You
get the impressions and people get used to you and then they will go to your YouTube.
All of them are important. Instagram's important. TikTok's important. LinkedIn's important for another audience. You want to do all of them. But if I had to start with one, I would start with YouTube. If you could just start with one. And then secondly, I would start with Instagram. For some people, I'd start with Instagram first because I think short form is a good way to get confidence in yourself before you can do long form. So I think maybe Instagram or YouTube, interchangeable is what I would start with. Those are the two most essential. I would actually put X third. It's harder to grow now and it feels more fickle than ever. Like it's just trend. It's a bit like TikTok now. The algorithm is Like it's all just trends and news. It's less. I feel like I used to be able to post something really personal and it would still do really well because all my followers would see it. But now it feels like you need to bait so hard. And I still go viral a lot. We still have multi-million impression days now where we'll get 2 million impressions in a day.
You'll get there though.
Hopefully. We still get millions of impressions. We're still one of the fastest growing in AI on X, but it's not consistent. Like you'll have 8 very average posts and then you'll have 1 mega banger. Whereas in the past it was more spread. Like you wouldn't have as many viral bangers, but you'd have everything would do well. The algorithm's just changed now. It's more moving away from follower-based. It's more moving away. I'll edit that out. It's more moving away from seeing content for people you subscribe to interest media. So it's based on the content that you're interested in now.
So what would be the tactic if someone wanted to grow their influence on X, like you've done, like beautifully? What would be the strategy to gain as many attention as possible in the quickest amount of time?
Number one thing, and it's the same on YouTube, topic. Speak about a topic people are interested in. It doesn't need to be the biggest top of funnel topic like AI. It could be growing on YouTube is a valid niche. If that's who you're trying to get customers for, you kind of need an idea. You don't need to know exactly, but you kind of need to know how you would monetize because that kind of affects the content you create. Like if I want to sell an AI trading course, but I am creating content on growing on YouTube, I'm not getting the right audience. But if I want to sell consulting for YouTube channels, then creating content about growing on YouTube is the right audience. So you kind of need to work out what you want to sell first, or at least have an idea of what you want to build. Not even fully, just roughly. And then just create content on what you're interested in that will get that viewer. I mean, some people take the other approach, like, because I'm kind of being contradictory here. I'm saying this in hindsight. When I started, I didn't know what I wanted to sell in crypto. I was just tweeting about crypto because I was passionate about it. So you can definitely, I'm proof, you can take the route of I'm passionate. Money will somehow come later. But I'm trying to give people an even more nuanced, optimized take based on what I've learned. It's try and work out that thing first. It'll actually speed things up because the content you'll create changes based on how you might monetize it. So that make sure the topic is aligned, firstly. Secondly, make sure your hooks are really good. First sentence, punchy. We actually have a hook library that I created. I wouldn't even sell it even if someone gave me 100 grand because I think it's that valuable. It's trained on data that we just have an opening line, really good opening lines that catch attention based on the rest of the post. We actually created a Claude skill for it. So, but you can generate your own. You can curiosity gaps basically. Like what makes someone stop scrolling? Topic needs to be good, firstly. Needs to make someone stop scrolling. And then thirdly, you need a decent CTA. Or if you don't have a CTA, you need to execute the finisher well. So you need to give people a reason to follow as well.
What do you mean by, on X specifically, what do you mean by CTA? What do you think are the best CTAs?
Yeah, call to action. It can be follow for more. It could be bookmark to get engagement up. It could be, I'll be doing a full guide in a week on this, so stay tuned. You just want to give people a reason to go to your profile. Even if a CTA could even be as simple as talking yourself up. Like I've been doing this for years and that's why I'm, just trying to like give people an idea that you're an expert or an authority could also really help because then they'll naturally go to your profile. Because you got to remember, if you just go viral, like there are strategists like Mario Nafal and these news pages, they're just going viral. And yes, they're getting followers as a byproduct, but you are not necessarily going to get someone following you just because you're going viral. Like giving someone a reason to follow and hitting a viral piece of content is not the same thing. You need to give people a reason to follow. That's why I'm growing so fast on Instagram. We've gone from 30K to 65K in 4 weeks of serious posting now. It's not a long time to grow that fast. I think we're going to be at 500K to 1 million, probably by end of year at this pace, just because we have really good CTAs. Like we have basically a funnel to make sure people follow us or are incentivized to follow us. There's a few things you need to create to go as viral as possible. You can go viral with just one thing, like a good hook. And an average video, you can go viral. You can go viral with an average hook, but a good video. But to go mega viral and get mega growth, you need everything to be aligned. Watch time, skip rate, engagement, comment rate, etc. So if you try and tick off those 3 things, in respect to your niche, it's going to be different in AI than it is for like something else, then it's pretty much the guaranteed way to go viral. And then obviously you add on top of that multiple other accounts. You repurpose your best content. You do trial reels to see what works. You iterate on that. You have, you run a clipping program and bounties with other pages that reshare your stuff. Like all of that stuff we're only really doing now because I was like, let's just nail our content first. Let's figure out how to go viral on my page, and then let's distribute with the biggest strategy, which we're now actively starting. And that's why I think you'll see us go from like 60 to 500,000 pretty quick. And with 500K on Instagram, there's a lot of value there. It depends how you use that value, but however you want to use it, whether it's personal networking and connections, whether just to get deals or to do podcasts with people, whether it's funneling them into a product, whether it's funneling them into referrals, whether it's funneling them into a YouTube channel to grow YouTube faster, there are so many ways you can use an audience. You just need to focus on getting the audience. And this is where so many people go wrong. They'll spend all this time, energy, and resource building product, but not on distribution. So my whole philosophy with AI Edge has been let's just master distribution, because we'll see what the audience wants. I don't want to force a product on people, because I want our community to tell me what the product is. And I'm already getting those signals now. It's becoming more clear what people want, but I don't even think I've fully cracked the final version of what my product will be. We might launch something that helps people now, but it might evolve over time based on feedback. So have an idea of what you want to sell, but don't be so rigid. Let your community tell you what it wants, and you'll probably have better conversions and retention that way anyway.
Okay. Thank you. Last question. This topic really, I need to touch with you before we close it off. AI influence. Okay, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get where you're going with this. It's a very interesting rabbit hole.
So what do you think most people get wrong about AI influence right now?
So just to clarify, are you specifically talking about humans creating content about AI, or are you talking about AI influencers?
AI influencers.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So basically fake avatars. Yeah, it's a big topic. I am personally not of the belief that AI influencers will replace real humans, but I think it's a threat. And I think if you use it correctly to compound distribution, it's a very good thing. But I don't think people will want to buy, personally, I don't think people will want to buy into an AI influencer story. And I know you chatted about this on your last podcast. Where I agreed with Ran is that for news, it makes sense. If your only value add is you're a news channel, and that's the only thing you're offering, then yes, I agree 100%. AI will do a better job. It'll synthesize data quicker. It'll get things more accurate. People will trust it more. I agree. Where I think maybe he's wrong, or where I would challenge him, is that I don't think a lot of people tune in just for news. I watched Ran's shows because of his personality. And it was interesting, and he had the nuances, and he got things wrong, but he also got things right.
But can't an AI influencer have a personality?
You can reverse engineer and fake it, but I think what will happen is it'll become so saturated that people will get sick of it. And one interesting variable that we haven't discussed is that the social media is actively pushing back against this. YouTube just clamped down on UGC. If you make UGC content and it flags it as UGC, they are suppressing the videos now. They can't go viral. Faceless channels are under threat because of this. And a lot are getting banned. They are cracking down on it. They don't want it. They want real creators for various reasons. Instagram is probably going to be next. I've seen these avatars go rife on Instagram. A lot of them are going viral. I'm almost 100% certain they will really crack down on it. And they're probably going to do it through biometrics, Face ID. Before you post, you're now going to have to show your face. There's going to even be watermarks that they demand. In a real bad world, they would actually say that anything not filmed on Instagram edits cannot be posted. That will hurt them a lot because it will kill clipping and kill other forms of posting, which bring a lot of value to the platform. But if it became that much of an issue, because remember, slop is a huge issue for them. If everything's AI, it'll just push people away. So they will need to be quite aggressive in enforcing human-only policies. There's this other theory that it's all right, maybe they want the slop because maybe AI can. I don't think it. I actually think it'll push people away from social media. You will just have to bank on the data though. The social media companies will only act based on data. If Instagram has less engagement on the platform, they will be incentivized to clamp down. YouTube has obviously done the data on this. They wouldn't be clamping down if they hadn't already run models on it. I think they're worried about it. And that's why they're clamping down. And I think if YouTube, who have pretty much the most data, Gemini, Google, of any company in the world, I think Facebook will follow. And that is the one nuance as well behind. If you build an AI avatar business and the social medias make it so much harder to go viral, well then you kind of may as well make the content yourself. So that's a variable here I think is worth touching on. In a world where it slips through the cracks, I still believe that people want to follow humans, but I do admit that it does, like, certain types of content won't do as well. This podcast style, I think, still will do very well because it's like clearly raw, authentic, it's thoughts, and it's real experience. And AIs aren't relatable. Like, you can see a human that got to their first 10 million, but an AI, it's fabricated. It's not real.
Why is that? Why do you think that's so important? The
Because
relatability.
that's what they're trying to do as well. Because they're trying to look at a creator and do what they've done. So they can learn off an AI who hasn't done anything. It just knows everything. Or they can follow someone that's actually done the thing that they want to do because they're also human. They're going to need to follow the same roadmap. That's why a lot of the creators that create content, like like Brez and TJR, like this aspirational content, why have they struck a chord with the young audience? Because they're also like young and they've made money, and these people want to make money and buy a Ferrari as well. So it's not because TJR had the best information, or it's because he was interesting, entertaining, and they want to be like him. So I think people are really underestimating like human emotion, like envy, jealousy, like all of these emotions that people aren't going to be emotionally attached. You're never going to be like, I want to be like Claude. But you might want to be like someone else who used Claude to make millions. So that's why I can't see it going away. But there's certain types of content, like pure value content, is kind of under threat. Like, and there's a reason why I'm doing more podcasts like this. I'm having more guests. I'm doing vlogs now on my vlog channel. We're doing different types of content. My videos aren't just behind the screen anymore. Like we have different things because it's important to start to like develop or establish the moat pretty early on. But yeah, I think there's like a little arbitrage window where you can grow a lot quicker with AI content. And look, it's kind of part of our strategy in some ways as well, but it's not, my whole strategy doesn't hinge around it. But we'll see in a few years who really wins, the ones that double down on humans or the ones who double down on AI avatars.
So your play right now is more about how can you use AI to basically distribute more, like to create more volume, create better infrastructure.
And that will offset, even if AI can replace me, the growth, and I'll just keep scaling with as AI gets smarter, that should offset. You still need capital. People got to remember, capital is still a constraint. You can't, these models are getting expensive. They're being subsidized. Claude and ChatGPT are losing money. The subscriptions you're currently using should be $2,000 a month. They're $200. You think they're expensive already? They're losing $1,000 on it. They should be $2,000, but they're not because they won't get you to use their platform. These models are only going to get more expensive. That's actually another topic because the argument is like DeepSeek and these Chinese models will make it cheaper, but like if the frontier models keep a 5% edge, people will always want to use the frontier models because if you're highly competitive, it's the only way to get an edge on your competition. So
so
I don't
it's
know why
such
I went on that tangent, but
it's such a big topic. Also, just to finalize this section, I heard such an interesting thing about this, which is obviously you can't relate to an AI influencer, right? It's like it's not human. It's like you can't relate to it.
As soon as I see it, I scroll off. I hate it.
Of course,
I instantly am not interested unless it's like something that I would have just searched Google for.
Yes, but the thing is, with AI and with AI influencers, you can much more easily create high successful content with an algorithm and content that just hooks people better, creates more dopamine, like all these things, right? And then the crazy thing is, you grew up with Casey Neistat and guys like this, me too, like they inspired me massively to do a lot of the things that I do today. But the thing is, you grew up in that world. What about the kids now, right? The kids that are growing up and probably most of the content they're going to see is AI, right? And the question is this relatability that still makes us, watch human content, is it going to remain here?
Those kids are still human. They still have emotions. And I think there will be a point where social media use, it's at all-time highs. There's already some data that it's dropping. I think that's a big trend to watch over the next few years. I think it'll become actually less relevant because it'll become so oversaturated with slop and people are so addicted. There's going to be a pushback. The same thing happened with health. McDonald's was at all-time highs. Fast food was at all-time highs. Now, health is massive. Gym memberships are at all-time highs. Meal prep services. McDonald's has made their menu a lot healthier. Like there's been a massive pivot because people got sick of that lifestyle and they wanted and it's gone the other way. Obesity levels peaked like 5 years ago. It's getting, I mean, some countries are elevated, but like Australia, they're dropping. Even some places in America, they're dropping because there's been a big health trend. I feel like a similar reaction will happen to AI and social media. So that's a big watch, I think. I think it could affect the trajectory here.
I'm more on that side too.
But, AI, I'm not saying don't, like, we're going to look into it and I'm going to place some bets as a hedge.
I think the thing is about, I think most people are looking at it as black and white, like it's going to replace. No, I think
use AI for your news content.
Exactly.
Like, maybe I start an AI page where I just use an avatar for my news content, and then I'll just my podcast will just be more personal and more what I've done. People can buy into me, and then I can go viral with the news. Just do both. Like, you don't need to. I mean, obviously, but if you're too scared to create content, and the AI avatar is the only option, that's still a better choice than doing nothing. You know what I mean? In an ideal world, you do both.
In the end of the day, you need to know yourself and what are you better at, and just play those cards.
Some people are it's so pain, and I think actually I would say if creating content makes you that uncomfortable, then you should, because you're going to push yourself and you probably need it. But if you're that uncomfortable that you literally cannot imagine a world where you create content, then maybe focus on this other stuff.
Miles, from this whole conversation, if people can have one takeaway from this whole conversation.
I hate these questions.
I know.
This is something that I think like the other podcast guys, they tell to their guest before, so then they can give the perfect answer.
I'll give it a little twist here to make it a little bit more specific.
Because Hormozy and these guys, Jack Neal asks this at the end of each podcast. Yeah. They ask, if the world could take away one thing, what would you... I will just right now tell you, I'm not in a position to give that statement because I just haven't worked it out.
Let's say about one takeaway regarding building for the next 12 months. Mm-hmm. What would you think it's the biggest takeaway for someone that it's gonna start or it wants to just build for the next 12 months? What do you think would be the best takeaway?
I think what I said earlier, getting really practical about automating and creating a memory system for yourself. And starting to automate workflows that will already put you in like an AI first position. So it will, as a byproduct, you'll become more AI native, and as a byproduct of becoming more AI native, you will achieve a lot more in your business. So yeah, it's tough to pick the top thing from this podcast because there's definitely stuff about like self-development, which I think is important, and the philosophy around money and spending and investing in yourself. I think all of that's valid. Being high agency, another point that I think is super valid, but I think you can actually exhibit those traits in a practical manner by starting to automate workflows, starting to test stuff in AI and just become better at AI. That will force you to have more agency. It'll force you to reflect more. So you kind of have to think of habits as like leverage habits. It's funny because we didn't even get into like...
There's so much.
We could talk about leverage and health and fitness because I also have the same approach with that. Like I have... all these weird things with sleep. Something you tweeted about was I have like my my like daily to-do list on my lock screen. I truly believe, I think this is really valuable as a final takeaway. I truly believe if you want to simplify things, so if you want to forget the money in the business and I don't know what to do and all these questions, about life, one thing you need to focus on, the bookends of your day. So win the first 2 hours of your day, win the last 2 hours of your day. That will solve a lot of problems. What do I mean by that? Get up at the time you want to get up, go to the gym or do something active or go on a walk to get the blood flowing, and start working on the hardest task of the day at the start. And then at the end of the day, have a time that you go to bed, a bedtime alarm, have a proper wind down, switch off work and go to bed at the same time every day. Because as a byproduct of these things, you're going to sleep better, you're going to feel better, you're going to be more motivated to do the work. So even without working out what the work is, you're just going to be more motivated to do whatever you want to do. So I actually think taking like a health first approach, like focusing on the bookends, will actually solve a lot of the business problems you're running into. Because oftentimes when I'm tired or not motivated, I simply haven't slept or ate well or exercised. It's like literally that simple.
Or water.
Water. Because you're not a robot. Because you're not a robot, you need to fuel yourself. You know what I mean? Like you are literally a physiological, biological being. Like you need to treat that with arguably more importance than the work. And I found whenever I go into crazy work phases where it's work first, it works for a week and then I burn out. Because work first instantly deprioritizes health, which instantly makes me less mentally clear. So if I go health first, I unlock all of the work stuff as a byproduct. So I think health first is like a good mantra to live by. And
also the thing, I'm not sure if I got this from you, but someone, which is investing in health is a very smart long-term move, because over the years, you're going to spend more and more money recovering health. So actually investing now in health, it's probably one of the best investments for the long term, so that you can have more money for other things later.
100%. And
time and energy and all these things.
100%. I think when it comes to investing in health though, what I want to caution is a lot of people that they think to like invest in like peptides or hyperbaric or all this extra stuff. Like you have to nail diet, exercise, sleep being the biggest, because sleep creates the better choices for the diet and getting yourself in the gym. So honestly, sleep is free. Maybe in terms of buying sleep, you could improve things slightly. You could invest in an 8 sleep to keep your bed cooler. You could invest in, meal prep so you're not eating as late and scrambling after work. Like there are things you could definitely invest in to prioritize sleep, but as a starting point, start with sleep, and then later you can try all this other crazy shit. But I'm not on peptides or many supplements or like stuff yet. I mean, not yet. I mean, I'm sure as it gets better, but I'm letting the data kind of come out and settle. I'm not a Brian Johnson. I'm not trying to be a health pioneer. I'm going to be on like a 2-year lag to what the science says, just so, because it could come out that Reta like causes cancer. I'm not saying it does, but it could come out. It's not FDA approved yet. So you can't be taking it yet, in my opinion. It's not smart. That's just my opinion on it.
Miles, thank you.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Cheers, man.
Great conversation.
Thank you.